right, so I'm currently on the phone with Joseph. He's another musician that reached out about the current interview series going on. So I'm going to go ahead and give him the opportunity to introduce himself.
Hi, how's it going? This is Joe from Memo 71. Nice to be on here. Yeah.
Excellent. Very, very direct and basic. I like it.
Yeah, I was
Um,
I was like, I'm not sure what to say.
yep, that's fine. So I always like to start kind of in the beginning. When did you first find music, and what about it really made you connect to it and made you want to pursue it?
Well, I started playing guitar when I was 9 years old. It I kind of was introduced to a lot of like classic rock music, growing up from my sister and my older brother. And yeah, me and my younger brother, we took lessons together, yeah, like I said, at 9 years old, and it just really it hit me. I was really interested in it. Yeah, I think as soon as I started learning how to play, I fell in love. I fell in love with it, and that love has never really gone away. It's only gone stronger. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
So you started learning an instrument at a pretty young age while you're in school. Was that mostly out of school, or did you participate in the like music curriculum inside of school?
Yeah, so I participated in definitely around school. I was part of the jazz club. I did orchestra when I was in elementary school. I was always friends with like the music teachers at every school I went to, and I kind of would just like, yeah, I would always try to be as involved as possible, whether it was outside of school or inside of school. I was always just as much as I could. I would always try to surround myself with musicians and stuff, and I feel like that really added to where I am today.
Sure. And once you got to the point where you were kind of comfortable with the instrument that you're playing, playing in like concert band and things like that, when did you kind of decide to start going the opposite way and working with like other musicians and making a band?
Um, well, to be quite honest, I feel like I collaborated pretty early on. Like I said, once I figured out I had this love for guitar, um, I kind of just started to, find other people that also had that same interest. So I remember in elementary school, for example, there's this guy, his name is David, and he was a year older than me, and he was really, really good at guitar. And so naturally, I gravitated towards him because I wanted to learn from him and kind of like, I had a guitar teacher, but I also wanted to like learn what he was learning. And so I feel like just by doing that, I was already kind of opening those doors to like being social with my music. And then I went to high school, and I joined groups, and I had friends that sang, and I had friends that played drums and played this and that. So I would constantly be collaborating with artists, and I feel like I've just always kind of done it, a lot of it that way. Um, and actually doing solo work is actually more foreign to me than or was more new to me, sorry,
Mhm.
than band work, just because I'd done so much work with other people before.
Okay. And so what how did you kind of reach that balance? Was it working with other people that made you realize that you appreciated your solo work more, or did you just have more opportunity to focus on your solo stuff?
Well, so solo stuff. So I feel like I said, growing up, I feel like I was surrounded. I would practice obviously by myself and at home and do all that stuff. But growing up, like I said, it was such a social thing for me as well, where I could go to my friend's house and we could jam, or we could do this and that, or I'd go to school and there'd be people playing in the music rooms during lunchtime, and I'd bring my guitar and I'd play as well. Um, Now I think s- playing solo only came occurred to me when I was kind of forced into it, when I couldn't find musicians. So I think growing so after once I got into college and stuff, and I actually had to start reaching out to people instead of just being surrounded by people all the time. Um, it kind of dawned on me that like, oh, like I might not actually have access to like, if I needed a drummer, I'd actually have to go and reach out to drummers, and sometimes it was hard to find a drummer or find a bassist or find someone I could play with. So
Mhm.
again, it kind of came out of like a necessity where it's just like, oh, I guess I'll play solo. I should rely on myself because you can't always rely that there's going to be people here.
Hmm.
So definitely in college, I definitely started being a lot more solo again, just because um, again it was like a necessity, and that was for me kind of foreign at first. Being everything, doing everything. I was always used to being just the guitarist of the band,
Hmm.
but now I was the guitarist slash singer slash producer slash writer slash everything, right?
Hmm.
So it definitely was foreign to me, and I did it for a little bit.
Well, since you kind of have experience, stepping into both veins of that, looking back at that, what do you think you prefer?
Definitely prefer being in a band. I definitely prefer being in a band. Just because it's so much more collaborative and so much more just like, when I have an idea, I can run with the idea by myself, but I love it when I can bring it to somebody and they can run with it as well. So like, um, for example, with this project I'm working on now, Memo 71, it started as a solo project, but now it's turned into a duo. It's me and my singer Cameron, and so I produce the beats and everything, and then he sings on it. And the way we usually work on it is I will, work by myself. So I'll still do my solo stuff. I'll work by myself and I'll make a beat, on my own time, and then I'll send it to him, and then he'll just go and run with it. Right? He'll make lyrics and write melodies for it, and then we'll kind of bounce off. Then when we meet up, we'll bounce off of each other. I'll be like, oh, actually, this would be cooler, and then he'd be like, I kind of prefer this, and so I like that about being in a band more, just because it's like I love those moments when you kind of bounce off of each other versus when you're doing it solo. It's kind of everything's more or less on your own terms,
Hmm.
which is nice, but it's also like I don't know. I feel like I feel like it's kind of limiting in my eyes. It's a little limiting, at least for me. At least for me.
No, I think you're absolutely correct about a portion of that. Working solo, you have only yourself to determine whether or not the product is what you're actually shooting for. There's no sounding board. There's no collaborative effort to make something.
Right, exactly. It's just kind of you doing you.
Hmm.
Exactly.
I've heard other people mention something along the lines of like you can tell a solo album was developed by somebody that did all of the work because it'll be one aspect of it will be really good, but then the rest of it will kind of be mediocre because the musician themselves doesn't really have the extensive knowledge of all the other instrumentation that another fully fledged musician would.
Right, exactly. So you're saying like, like their production or something like that.
Hmm.
I,
Awesome.
I, yeah, I know what you mean. Like it's definitely a challenge, I think, and it depends on the person. Obviously my experience is just my experience, and I know some people love to just do everything themselves, and but yeah, me personally, yeah, that's not. I feel like it's too much for one person to handle.
Sure. So, since we kind of reached where you're at now, tell me a bit about the project that you are working on now.
Yeah,
What is it? What is it about? And where would you like to see it go?
yeah, great question. So I'm currently working on a project called Memo 71. So it's MEMO space 71. Um, like I said, it started off as a solo project, but then recently it's turned into a band, like a duo, me and my friend Cameron. Um, yeah, we make dream pop, bedroom pop music. We have a studio here in Long Beach, California, and um, we like I said, I'll make the beats, and then he'll you know do the vocals, and then we'll come into the studio and record there, and just kind of mix and master everything ourselves. We haven't released any music yet, but we've got tracks recorded, and where our first release is planning to start January 2022. So starting in January, we're going to be releasing once a month. We have about 8 new songs, so that'll be about 8 months of work down the line, in starting in 2022. So that's really exciting.
Definitely. So you kind of stepped on it a little there. A question I usually ask is, how do you envision your release cadence? And it sounds like you're going to do the monthly digital releases rather than like a full EP release kind of thing.
Yeah, the EP thing, I've tried it before. I feel that these days, especially for up and coming artists, indie artists, I feel that EPs are kind of, if I'm being honest, kind of a waste,
Mm-hmm.
just because as an indie artist, I don't think, unless you have a solid fan base, I don't think new people, like new audience members or new fans, want to listen to an entire album of an artist that they don't even know. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like someone like Muse or like Tame Impala or Billie Eilish, like these are established artists that have a solid fan base. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever they drop, their fan base will listen, right?
Mm-hmm.
If Tame Impala drops a new album, you best know that everyone's gonna be listening to the album, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if Memo 71 drops an album, I don't think a lot of people are gonna be listening to the full album.
I think you're absolutely onto something there. The way that the market keeps on going, it definitely seems more to be the single digital release makes a larger impact. Plus, it shows that you're maintaining activity.
Right, exactly. I mean, I think it's a double whammy. It's the first whammy is that you stay relevant.
Hmm.
You have new posts every time instead of just one big post. Oh, I'm here. Here's my album. You promote it for 2 weeks, whatever, and that's it. It's
Hmm.
done. And that was your 2 weeks. The whole year you spent making promoted in 2 weeks and you're done.
Right.
Versus right? Versus, oh, I can drag this out for 8 months now. I can say, okay, well, I have a single in January. I can promote that for 2 weeks. And then in February, I have a new single, and that can be drawn out for another 2 weeks. So I can do that consistently for 8 months.
Hmm.
So it can give me constantly new material to, engage people in, which is really great. So that's the first thing that's awesome. The second thing that's awesome is that I'm a firm believer in um, kind of the idea that it's like you don't need a lot to prove yourself, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Like I've seen concerts, like I've been to or I remember this one time. I'll give you an example. I went to a battle of the bands. This
Hmm.
is like a high school battle of bands or whatever. And each person got like 25 minutes. Each band got like 25 minutes to perform.
Hmm.
And I remember this one band showed up and they only played one song. They played the whole 25-minute set, but they opened with a song. And in that first song, I was already hooked. I
Hmm.
was already like, okay, this band's gonna win.
Hmm.
Like I already knew just because of that one song they played, because they killed it. They killed it. They played so well. It got the audience involved. It got everyone so hyped. Like it was such a good performance, and it was only like what 3 minutes long
Hmm.
versus another band that could have performed for the whole 25 minutes, that could have dragged it out and kind of like had moments here and there, which there is a time and place for. But I think especially starting off, it's important to just capture people's attention really quickly. And a single, I think, is a way more effective way, because somebody can digest a single, right? if i
Hmm.
if i showed someone my 2.5 minute song, that's an easy investment versus, oh, can you listen to my hour long EP or hour long album? Right?
Right.
It's a big ask. And so I firmly believe you should be able to, as a musician, grab someone's attention in a song, in just one song. So that's the second whammy.
I absolutely agree.
Cool, awesome.
So on that point, aside from the project that you're currently working on, where do you, as a musician, want to see yourself be in 5 or 10 years?
You know, Great question. I really want to be signed. I want us to be signed. Go on tour would be amazing. My goal overall is just to have a fan base, an engaged
Hmm.
fan base that is dedicated to our music, that is dedicated to us, shows up to our shows. And the thing is, I'm not asking necessarily for like, you know, Muse style, audiences where I'm selling out like Wembley Stadium in London, or like where I'm
Hmm.
selling out stadiums and stuff. I'm not asking for that level of fame,
Hmm.
but it's more or less. I've always told people I kind of want medium famous,
Hmm.
which is like you're famous to a specific crowd.
Hmm.
So like if I go to a 2,000 seater or 2,000 capacity theater, there'll be 2,000 people there and it'll be sold out.
Sure.
And when I get in there, everyone knows who I am and everyone knows our music and everyone knows everything. But
Hmm.
then I can still walk down the street and like not get bothered.
I think that's fair and a humble ambition. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
So that's kind of the goal with Memo 71, to get to medium famous.
Cool, cool. You should almost either make that a single or work that into like
Or
your overall theme somehow. Is just be medium famous. Um,
that sounds like a
so
great T-shirt, to be honest.
so what are some of like your favorite memories working in music, whether it be a show you went to or writing?
So many. There's so many. That's a good question. Of course, I think the best memories have to come from performing. Like, there's nothing compares to performing. Um, yeah, nothing else compares to performing. I've done shows that were more exciting than others, though. Yeah, some that I remember. There's like little. I've done little festivals before, which is really cool.
Hmm.
Like not a huge festival, but like it was like a festival, and I performed on a huge stage, which was great, and I performed to like fans and stuff, and that was really amazing. That's when I was doing a solo act, and that was really crazy. And I had an hour set, and it was actually really great. It was really fun. Another thing that comes to mind is I performed um, at a school. I performed at one of their venues. It was like a 7,000 seater venue, and there's like 7,000 people there, and it wasn't like a music. No, it wasn't like I was performing my own songs, but I
Hmm.
was performing like it was kind of weird. I was like performing like guitar, spoken word, vocals. It was kind of like a mixture thing of this thing. Anyways, it was actually a really cool event because we got to perform to so many people. And even though it wasn't necessarily me performing like a full on song and full on like my own, it wasn't like Memo 71, but it was such a cool experience just to perform in front of so many people. So stuff like that are just
Hmm.
those are my good memories. Those for sure are good memories.
Awesome.
And then on top of it, you can't go wrong with just having fun. Like, performing in bands, like, hanging out with my band afterwards, or just like having fun talking to them afterwards is just super fun.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
that camaraderie.
yeah, exactly. You like, before the show, we're all hanging out and we're all like talking and stuff, and then we do the show and like we perform and it's great, and then afterwards we start, oh my god, did you see what happened like there? Like I missed the chord change here, or
Hmm.
the drummer's
Hmm.
like, I completely forgot to do the fill, or you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I love those. I love those memories. So
Awesome.
those are always gonna be great.
So, what are some of your social media links where people can actually take a look at you? I know you said you haven't released any music under Memo 71, but do you have any music out there?
Well, I do actually have music out there. Yes, I do. So Spotify, Apple Music. So it's MEMO space 71. So that would be, yeah, like I said, Spotify, YouTube Music, whatever, Apple Music, all the good stuff.
All right.
um,
And
but
then,
then also
oh,
like,
yeah.
oh sorry, I was gonna say also like if you wanted to follow on, I post a lot on TikTok and Instagram. So that's Memo 71, and then with the band, so Memo 71 band,
Mm,
that will be on TikTok and Instagram.
perfect. And I always like to give the person I'm interviewing the opportunity to, put out their last word. So, a message that you feel resonates with you.
Yeah, there's a few. I live by the motto "Live to be memorable." So everybody in life, just don't be forgettable. Do something that actually makes a change or does something, to impact other people. Um, it's not all about you. It's all about, it's important to make an impact. I think while we have our lives. So yeah, make an impact for whatever it is, a positive impact, nothing negative. Right? But yeah, that's my motto, and yeah, that's pretty much it.